My name is Gladys Ogallo, and I'm the founder and CEO of Virtual HR Services Limited. I transitioned from being a corporate professional to an entrepreneur. I'm very humbled to have been given this chance by Washeke to be able to talk to all of you here, and I hope that by the end of the session, you will have picked a thing or two that is going to add value to your journey of wealth creation. Now, who am I talking to? I realize that in this crowd, we have campus, I'll call them kids. We have campus kids, no offense meant. We have people who are working, and we have entrepreneurs. Is that true? I want to talk to you who is in campus, and I want to talk to you who is currently employed, because I have been there. I'm speaking to you particularly the corporate professional, because you are the person who has a good job, you're paying your bills, you're probably not in debt, or if you're in debt, you're able to manage your debt, you live in a nice neighborhood, your children are going to school, schools of your choice. You probably belong to the right clubs, members-only clubs, and you're fine with life. And I won't ask who falls in that category, but from the shine on your faces, I can see a number of you fall in that category. True or not true? So the question is, if you're able to meet your bills comfortably, why Centonomy? If you're able to live a life that you are living now, why Centonomy? Why do you need to up the game? I first met Washeke when I was head of HR of a large multinational that, in my opinion, was paying its employees extremely well. Each time we did a salary survey, our salaries were always way above the market rate. I called in Washeke because I realized, and because I was head of HR and had access to everybody's file, I realized that everyone was living beyond their means. And when you're living beyond your means, what does it mean? It means you have more debt than you can manage. It means you are spending more than you ought to be spending, and that translates to the workplace, because you will ask, if you're head of HR, what does it matter what people are doing with your money, with their money? It matters because it was translating back to their workplace. I could see bad moods. I could see negativity at the workplace. I could see negativity towards the employer, and I'm wondering, why negativity towards the employer when the employer is paying you so well? So what did I do? Someone introduced me to Washeke and told me she is an expert in financial planning. Bring her in, let her talk to your staff members. She will help them understand how to spend their money, how to save their money, and how to invest their money. So in comes Washeke. Now remember, as I've explained, it was never about me. It was about my staff members, right? They are the ones who couldn't manage their money well. They are the ones who were having depressions and having more bills than they can handle. It wasn't me. I was managing people who, when there was a match in Joburg, they would take the Friday evening flight, go to Joburg, watch the match, get back to the office on Monday morning. And these are the people I'm saying were living beyond their means. So in comes Washeke, and I give her a clear brief. Please help my people understand that they need to live within their means. When she started presenting, for that 1 hour, that was my aha moment. I realized it was not about them. She was actually talking to me. And you know when you've hired a consultant to come and sort out your staff as part of the staff wellness program, you always feel that she should be directing it at them. And I was wondering, why is Washeke talking to me and not talking to the people who actually have the problem, because it is not me who has the problem. Fast forward, I started my long journey of exploring to see if really the life I was living is a life I could live until I was 100 years old. And the answer was a resounding no. At that point, I was living in the right neighborhood, I was driving the right car, German model, my children were going to the right schools, I had the best available medical or insurance cover, I was a member of several members-only clubs, and I'm not saying this to show off, I'm just showing this to tell you how fickle and fake life can be. That sometimes when you have all these privileges that are afforded to you by your employer, you get into the mistaken belief that you actually deserve them, that they are actually yours. So if there's any of you in this crowd who is living that life, hello, get the wake-up call. So I started the journey of meeting Washeke, and I forced her actually to meet me several times because I told her I need to get my life in order. Remember, I have forgotten about my employees. Have I talked about them again? I've forgotten about them. I've said, you know, guys, if you can't sort yourselves out, you're on your own. I'm moving on. I need to move on, all right? So we went through a number of spreadsheet simulations. I told Washeke, okay, this is my pay slip. You do for me a spreadsheet. This is what I want to achieve at this period of time. This is where I want to live. This is what I want to continue doing. This is the kind of lifestyle I want to continue. Put in the inflation. Add the inflation over X number of years, 20 years, 30 years. Can I live the same lifestyle until I'm 100 years? What do you think the answer was? No. They say, okay, let's leave that out. If I continue in employment, spreadsheet 2, if I continue in employment until I retire, that means at 55 or 60. Well, our company then was 55. If I continue until I retire at 55 and wait for my retirement benefits, please put these figures in a spreadsheet, spread them out, put in my expenses, add in inflation, and tell me how long would I be able to survive. Shock. Utter shock. So then I said, what next? What then would I need to do? And that was my second wake-up call. And I keep telling Washeke, she needs to invoice me for giving me that wake-up call. Because had I not had that first discussion with her, I probably have still been in the same situation I was on, living a fickle and fake life, and believing that I can continue with this life forever. So I attended Centonomy. What did I learn from Centonomy? First thing about employment, not everyone should leave employment in order to create wealth. Because a number of people will tell you that you will never be rich in employment, and that is true. You will never be rich on your pay slip, but you can be sitting where you are in employment and are able to have so many investments that are generating for you secondary income that later on becomes primary. Do you hear me, guys? Anyone who hears me, please wave your hand if you're in employment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, Look at the greatest wealth creators we have had in the world. Steve Jobs, for example, he didn't create his wealth only in one line of business. Go and read about Steve Jobs. He did not create his wealth from one line of business. Look at Sir Richard Branson. He did not create his wealth from one line of business. And even here in Kenya, look at our wealthiest entrepreneurs. They always diversify. The person who said you do not put your eggs in one basket was right. You do not put your eggs in one basket. We have seen industries come and go, right? We have seen employers come and go. In the same way, we have seen certain levels of investments grow and come down. So if you're employed, your employer is not your enemy. Your employer and that regular pay slip is your biggest buddy, is your biggest ally to help you in creating wealth. When you have a regular pay slip, you can actually use that regular pay slip to decide that of this pay slip, 30% is going to be for XYZ, 40% is going to be for investment. That was my first lesson in Centonomy. Your employer is not your enemy, but you need to diversify your sources of income. And here we are not talking about being unethical. We are not saying that you start that business in your handbag that is competing with what your employer is doing. No. There are so many things that you can do where you are seated on your employment desk that will bring you incomes of 10%, 15% without even being aggressive. We have treasury bills, we have shares, we have fixed deposits, we have bonds. All these, you'll understand what and when to use them when you attend the Centonomy class. That is what I picked up from the Centonomy class, that you do not need to leave employment in order to be able to create wealth. Secondly, I picked up the idea of entrepreneurship. By the time I joined Centonomy, I had long ditched my employer. Remember, my aha moment was way before that. I had ditched my employer, I had formed my own company, Virtual HR Services Limited. I had partnered with 2 very strong corporations in South Africa. We are offering products in this market that are in partnership with our partners in SA. So I was already in entrepreneurship. But for those of you who are not in entrepreneurship, what I picked up from Centonomy is this. When you decide to go into business, start with what you have. Start with what you have. What you have in terms of skills and what you have in terms of money and resources. If you have been in HR like I have been, it would be difficult to step out and start in construction. It would be difficult to step up and start in cleaning, like my friend Alex. It would be difficult to get up and say, let me start by dealing with the mjengo on Mombasa Road. Because I am the corporate professional who knows that you wear a black skirt suit and high heels as you go to the office. The mjengo environment is a totally different environment. It will be pulling me to an area I have no skills. So, business, start with what you have. What are the skills you have now? How can you translate those skills into generating revenue? Secondly, the resources. A lot of mistakes that many entrepreneurs have is, as you leave corporate and you go into entrepreneurship, you want to replicate the same environment. So if you had a big office with a secretary and a tea girl and a driver, you want to copy and paste the same thing. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Start from home, start from a small office, start from sharing an office. At this point, I can actually say that when we started, I was sharing an office with Washeke. She was sitting facing this side and I was sitting facing the other side. We were doing totally different businesses, but hey, we needed a room to operate in. And this was just working fine for us. So does that add up? All right. The other thing I picked up from Centonomy, the third thing was around investments. Now, for you, and I talked about you corporate professionals who are the ones I'm talking to, for you, the easier thing out, especially when you have some loose money, that money you get as bonus at the end of the year, or the money that, comes in as a windfall, the easier thing to do is to hire a financial planner and have them plan your money for you. You say, okay, this guy understands the business of money, let him do it for me. And I actually went through that journey sometimes. A lot of shares were bought, some good investments, some very poor investments. What did I learn from Centonomy? I learned that I need to have the education to be able to hire that financial planner to manage my money. So it's not only the fact that he will make the decisions for me. What the financial planner does for me currently is to make recommendations, but I can discuss with them on a one-on-one, why this? Why not this bond? This treasury bill is for X number of years. This bond is for X number of years. I need this money at this point in my life. My children are going to school at this point. This is when I need this money. We should not put this here. Let's try and put it here. It gives you education that helps you make your financial decisions. And I think actually that is about the best education you can get. Forget about education of being the best pilot, the best HR professional, the best lawyer. If you're not able to manage your money, why then are you a lawyer? Or why then are you an HR person? Why are you even attempting to start a family if you don't have the ability to talk the language of wealth management? So in my opinion, just being able to talk to a financial consultant, to speak to them one-on-one, and in some cases to actually invest for myself, and even getting ahead of the other financial consultants and saying, you see, I told you this was the wrong investment. You see what I made? I did it better than you. There's no better satisfaction than that. Do we agree? And remember, I have no financial background, absolutely none. I picked it all in Centonomy. I attended Centonomy 101 twice. Yes, twice. Because I felt that I wanted to internalize, particularly the modules on shares, property, investments, and spending. I needed to unpack this thing called bonds, long-term bonds and short-term bonds and treasury bills. So my first class was, wake up, you've been in employment and you've been managing people for this long, but you don't know what this. My second class was, I was sitting at the front. I did not miss a single class. Saturday morning. What is that? Saturday morning. I did not miss a single class because I knew this is the best education that I would ever get. I did not even ask for a discount. That because I attended the previous one, no. I said, this I need to attend twice. Now, in addition to that, I was not leaving it at that. I ensured that all my children, because I kept saying, why didn't I attend this earlier? If I had started this journey earlier, I would be way beyond where I am now. So I made sure that all my children who are of age to sit in Centonomy attended Centonomy. So there are 2 of them who are in university outside the country. When I discovered the day Centonomy class was starting, I quickly changed their flights and told them, you are coming, you are attending this class. And can you imagine the grumbles behind that? Why? I haven't done shopping. I said, forget it. In fact, that was even the worst word you can say. You haven't done what? With whose money? What shopping? Do you think they were shopping for a household? What do you think they were buying? Shoes, clothes. With whose money? Flights changed immediately. You finish your exams, you're landing on Friday, you're starting Centonomy on Saturday morning because mommy has said so. So those of you who are here in campus, please wave. Let me see you who are on campus and are hoping to attend this class. You make sure you attend it. The third girl who is sitting here right in front of me, please wave to us, Ima. She also attended it. She's joining university in September. She has no choice. In fact, if she's not careful, she might attend Centonomy Campus Edition twice. There are people who believe that this course is for people who are struggling with their finances, or for retired people who don't know what they need to do with the retirement money they have been given. I remember I attended it with a girl who had just got a windfall as an inheritance, and I found her very wise because she said, I have inherited this money which has come as a shock because we didn't even know that our dad was this wealthy. Now there is this will, and I have this money, and I don't know what to do with it, so I'm attending Centonomy. This Centonomy is not for people who are struggling. It's for people who want to be wealthy. It's for everybody who feels that they want to live a comfortable lifestyle up to the time they turn 100. Has that sunk in? Because sometimes you talk to some, especially comfortable corporate people, we feel that course is for the people in my team. I am the director of HR. That course is for people in my team who are struggling. Now you're talking to someone who was there, because I was preparing talks for people who are below me. The other thing I picked up at Centonomy, and for this I'm thankful that I picked up early, was about retirement. And it just took me back, because I have been head of HR for many years, in fact 12, 14 years to be precise. One of the tasks I used to do was to handle retirement. And it's one of the painful processes, especially when one is not prepared. And I always had to drink an extra glass of water in the morning when I knew that that day I was going to deal with a group of people who were retiring, because most were not prepared. Most employment puts you in such a way that you are so dependent on the paycheck that you do not plan beyond the paycheck. And I have seen so many tears of seniors. And that time I was much younger. So I was seeing tears of people that, I have been respecting all along. I have prepared their final retirement dues. It comes to probably 30 million or 50 million, which may sound big, but when he sits down to calculate his current lifestyle and the children who are still in school and probably the remaining mortgage that he has, he knows that after X number of years, he will have to go and climb KICC and jump down. So retirement is painful when you have been focusing on one source of employment, which is the biggest catch that those of us who have been in corporate have. So what did Centonomy do to me? For me, it was very clear you start planning for retirement when you start your first job. Because at that point, you'll have created such a security basket that it doesn't matter what happens at whatever time it is, you're ready to take a walk. Finally, spending. To me, spending was a big one. As the previous speakers have mentioned, one of the modules you go through in Centonomy is just tracking your spending. And being in employment and having been used to a life of several credit cards and debit cards and cash, I was horrified the first week when I tracked my spending. And at the end of the week, when we'd go to the next module, Osheke would tell us, okay, now you have tracked your spending, let us see. When I calculated what I had spent my money on, frivolities, fickle, things that I'm wondering, no, did I? I mean, this young man talked about 3 Javas in a day, and I was opening my eyes wide and saying, in campus, if I knew my daughter was doing 3 Javas in a day, I would be having that discussion of whose money? So we went through tracking expenses, and for me, that is the biggest thing. In fact, at the end of that lesson, I felt, if this is all I pick from Centonomy, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. I'm good to go. The end result is that it has now become a habit. I was not a good spender. It has now become a habit. I track where each and every piece of my money goes to, and I can tell you where it goes to. And where you have those many relatives you have around you who want this for airtime, this for what, this for bus fare, they also have to explain to me, what are you doing with whatever it is that you have? Now, I want to get it right here. It's not about living a stringent poverty life, because that is not what I want. And for many of you, I'm sure that's not what you want. It's about knowing that you can afford the lifestyle you are living, that you can up your game as far as your lifestyle is concerned, that if you're in ICU today for a month, you will not have to sell your investments to pay for your bills. It's knowing that if there was anything that happened that cuts off your time at work or at your business, you will still have your children go to school. They will not have to downgrade to a different school. That if you have a mortgage, you will still continue to pay for that mortgage. And those who know me know that I do not advocate for poverty. Sorry. I advocate for a good lifestyle. I advocate for upping your game. I advocate for saying, do not downgrade your lifestyle. Create enough wealth so that you are able to afford your lifestyle now, and that you can afford the same lifestyle until you are 100 years old. Thank you.